steps out of the shadows, darkly of the night.
Hello, everybody. This is Jim Cummings, but you may know me better as Darkwing Duck, the terror that flaps in the night. And you are about to groove very heavily to the Nerd Effect Podcast, if you know what's good for you. Darkwing out.
Darkwing, Darkwing, now.
Welcome out to the Nerd Effect Podcast. We are on episode number 50, and I am Dustin Vancouver, one of your hosts, joined by my buddies.
I don't know. That was pretty flamboyant. I don't think I can cop that, man. Michael Morgan.
And somehow I'm still around with these guys, Mason, Ireland.
Yeah, well, and
Yes, and
we are joined today by two very special guests, two people we have made very good acquaintances with over the course of the last couple of years. Would you gentlemen like to introduce yourself?
I'm Hinsel Scott.
I'm Andrew Chasen.
And where are you guys from?
Social Geek.
Geeks Worldwide. Yay.
So let me ask, what's the official title? Is it both? Is it Geeks Worldwide and Social Geek, or?
No, Geeks Worldwide is growing out of Social Geek.
Nice.
Yeah, at some point we wanted to make Social Geek also kind of fill our plates and turn it into a business without being douchey and turning it into a business. So, well, we had built a certain level of trust with the people who like Social Geek, and so we didn't want to monetize that underneath them. And so, since we both have extensive experience helping small businesses and medium-sized businesses, we didn't want to turn Social Geek into that. So we wanted to keep it about being geeky, but make it into a business. So Geeks Worldwide.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Well, I guess let's just start. What is Social Geek, and then what is it? What's the idea behind it?
Well, it all started a couple years ago. Basically, I was doing a lot of real-world like networking at the time, networking events, that sort of thing. And I saw a lot of business people that were having trouble sort of figuring out technology. And then as I pushed myself out into the networking world and, saw some of my friends online, I saw a lot of geeky or, tech people that were having a real trouble with the business side of things. And so out of that, I got the idea that there should be a group to kind of bring them all together, where they might not necessarily interact, because geeks and business people a lot of times run in separate circles. And that's what Social Geek came out of, basically, was let's get these people together. From there, we became sort of enamored with the philosophy that everybody's got something they're geeky about, whether you're real estate geek or window washing geek or whatever. You've got something you're passionate about that goes beyond just, this your everyday drudgery.
I know your window washing geek fairly well. Like we just he used to do our windows when I worked for Radio Shack for a number of years. He always come by. I was a really cool guy to talk to for a while. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I think that the real key is, and we say when we're giving somebody the pitch, that we accept the definition that a geek is anyone who's eccentrically passionate about their disciplines. And so we have bacon cookie geeks or audio geeks. And when I give that, I look around the room and I'm like, what's here? Why are we in this common place together? What do we all love? Because to get really deep and philosophical, and I've spent time thinking about it that way, I worked in a very big corporate office environment, and even if you haven't done anything wrong, they pound like celebrate diversity into you. And I'm like, well, what if we flip that on its head, and let's first, to be an icebreaker, because we find that a lot of geeks are introverts, let's celebrate what we all have in common. So you walk into a room, and here we're brought together because we planned it, but there's audio stuff. Maybe we can all talk about audio. Yeah, right. What's going on? So,
if there's anything a geek likes to do, it's to learn about things that they don't know already.
Right.
And much like yourself, I've always had the definition between a nerd and a geek to me has always been, a nerd has always been somebody who has like a very a pretty clear idea of pretty much all things in the realm of geek. Like, I understand Dungeons and Dragons, but I am in no way a geek about it. But like video games, you talk to me about video games, and I'll talk to your ear off about video games all day long. But especially retro games, that specific niche, retro games, is definitely where I would fall into my geek. Mason, archaeology, and all that fun stuff. I mean, that's just stuff we all have a passion for.
Yep.
Guys, you got questions?
Well, I think you guys know mine. We don't need to bring that up.
Well, you can't say that and not say it.
That's just because he wanted to bring it up.
just being a tease.
What's your stance on monkey tits?
I'm for him.
What?
Mason?
I like my late.
I don't have a stance on monkey tits.
Yeah.
No, I meant
And we were saying before the show that you have to at least appreciate them because it's where all other tits came from. So
you can't have human tits without monkey tits.
Yep.
Or great ape tits, at least.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that got derailed quickly.
I'm sorry if you need us to stay on track. We won't be doing it.
No, there is
There's no way.
there's a no rail policy here on the show. In other words, this will not be guided in any sort of way. Okay, so let's talk about like you guys do the events. You do once every Friday. What was the idea behind that? Or not every Friday, but once
Once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
On the last Friday of the month.
Yeah.
Which this month was really difficult for me because I thought that it was actually next Friday.
Oh, that's right.
But then that's the first day of the next month. Yeah, anyway. So.
Yeah, basically it got to be, one of the factors of know, like, and trust. When it comes to being online or to supporting what somebody's doing, it's a lot easier to like what they're doing, find out who they are if you trust and know them. One of the best ways to do that, despite being, real techie online people, is to see people face to face. Go out, have some pizza, have some beers, sit around and talk about how's your month been. Even for people that we're already connected to personally, it's nice to have that time to get together, sort of one-on-one and just hear what's going on in their life. It's really probably the best way we figured out to serve the people that are in our group is just to know what's going on with them. You can't figure out how you can help or how you can assist somebody if you're totally out of touch with what's going on.
Yeah, to put that into real perspective, I think maybe some of your listeners might not even know what we're talking about in the fact of like network marketing. I was thrust into having to be an entrepreneur and look into what marketable skills do I have that I can build a business out of. And then you go and you see these other marketing networking groups, and I'll say it without mentioning names, but there's more than a few douchey ones of those. And we're like, well, how do we do that? A slightly lighter version where we actually give a crap about the people who are coming in and building that relationship with us. Because a lot of them is like, how can I get a return on investment? Or do you want to be a part of my downline? All these businessy things. I want to make money with my business, but I never want to be the kind of nerd that has to be ashamed of being a nerd. I want to build the things that build my business around the things that I'm passionate about and encourage others to do that. So
I think that's the dream of most small businesses, is that, like you said, they have a passion about something and they want maybe help with that. And if you have a passion with what you're doing, they can resonate off of that and actually care for that small business to succeed.
And in a lot of ways, we saw that the people who really grok with our values, they come to us knowing that our events aren't about throwing business cards out like ninja stars. We
Although that would be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I had one lady coming up to an event, and she just tried to hand me her card. And I looked at her, and I'm like, we don't even know each other, madam.
Yeah.
I want to hand you my card after 5 to 10 minutes of quality conversation, and everyone is special. Not that I'm that egotistical, but I don't want to be the person just shotgunning them out there. After all, you pay for them, but you also don't know where they're going to land. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a policy like all throughout the first year that we were doing the monthly events, and it's basically the first person that hands out a business card without being asked for it buys the next round of drinks. And so that really helped keep our little events to be more social than just business.
Mm.
It's not that we discourage people from networking when they're there, but we want the monthly event to be more like a family, just get together.
Big family style dinner.
Yeah, know people, find out what's going on and who they are. And then, you can set up your own individual coffee times later on or whatever if you want to get to the business side with them. So, doing regular networking just out there before Social Geek started, I was kind of like Andrew, just, I saw the Ninja Star cards every event I went, just people going through hundreds of cards, and it's like, wow, how effective is that anyway?
Yeah.
So I'd rather sit and talk to somebody and never exchange cards than to just, throw out my digits and not know who's getting them or where they're going. So
Yeah, because if you list up an impression on me, I'm going to cyber stalk you anyway. I don't need your card. I'm going to find you.
I will find you.
I have a certain set of skills. Not deadly ones by any means, just skills.
Yeah. So after Social Geek got established, you guys decided you wanted to make something of similar to it with the business, where it's where Geeks Worldwide has come in. What is going on with that? How is it different as far as then instead of just being,
If you have a moment and you don't mind hearing it, I could tell you the sob story of why I was forced into business, and that, I think, brings us into perspective.
That's why we're here.
A week after I married my wife and we were living in Arkansas, I had moved there for a year to court her properly and get to know her family before we got married. A week after that, I got in a debilitating car wreck, and that forced my savings to dwindle, and I was let go from my job, and so we moved back to Idaho. And so now I live with my folks on their land, and there for years, and yeah, we were married in 2009. There for years, it was, well, what can I do? And at the very least, like an anamorphous blob, I could pour myself out of the bed into the computer chair and do web work, the stuff that I kind of went to college for and know how to do well. And I didn't actually have to meet people. And then as I started to heal and become more ambulatory and want to actually, bust out of doing this freelance, I had to become an entrepreneur. That's the next step. And that's when I started running the same circles as Hinsel and seeing, this network marketing thing. I could do it different. I won't necessarily say better, but yeah, we could be doing this. And that's kind of what it grew out of. Hinsel was the one who had the idea. I'm just the one who stuck with him. So.
Who's more crazy, the fool or the fool who follows him? I don't know. But we've had some good times along the way, so it's been really good for that. I think our first year in Social Geek, we really courted the entrepreneur sort of community here in town. The second year we were doing things, we really got spurned into action from Hack Fort and the local tech community. And so we've been really focused on that this last year. And so this year here, we're just sort of trying to find a balance between those two. The last few months, of course, we've been focused on Geeks Worldwide, and that came as more of wanting to be able to offer service as a business to the people that came to us. We have had tons of people come through Social Geek just on a personal level wanting services, and it worked great for referrals within the group, but we really didn't have a way to pick it up legitimately from there into a business until we actually partnered up.
Yeah, because we didn't feel comfortable saying, okay, thank you for being with us for 2 years. Thanks for coming to our beer and pizza meetings and hanging out. And now we're going to monetize it. It's like, all right, thanks for being with us, and now give me your money. No.
Right.
So if we were going to do business through Social Geek, we didn't want to call it Social Geek. We wanted to do something else, its own. Like Social Geek is not an official nonprofit, but I would imagine it that way. It's a little social club. That's its thing. Here, it's like, well, if you want to take the relationship to the next level and you don't know anything, the things we specialize in, if you don't know anything about branding or starting your business, we're web and business consultants, so we'll build websites for you and whatnot. But we don't make that the focus of what we're talking about at Social Geek even. We reserve that for when we go out and talk about business. So, yeah. So, back to Social Geek, it's one of the things that dawned on me, if we're celebrating the things we have in common, we don't even need to be the same flavor of geek. Just we're both geeks. That's
right.
The base thing we all have in common. So
yeah, I've like I said, with the geek thing, like my cousin's a big baseball geek, he would never. I don't think he would ever use the term geek. But I mean,
Of course.
you want a man who will spit out stats for the last 15 years.
Right.
That's him.
He's got the paraphernalia.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, what do you call that when it's somebody who knows comic books? You call it a geek. So, it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, bros can play D&D with their fantasy football now. So.
Right. Exactly.
Online even with I always hear what's the major one that they keep pushing on podcasts these days? Jesus. Even on the nerdy ones, it's an online fantasy league where you can play to earn money, type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's weird hearing them.
Some people juggle geese. I mean, everybody's
Goslings.
everybody's into something.
Actually, the funny thing about those fantasy sports is now you've had fantasy sports leagues for a long time, but people would do them offline, and it got easy online because all of a sudden there was this beautiful computer thingy in the background doing all the spreadsheets for you. Awesome. I know it's an audio podcast. I don't need to put my thumbs up, but
dude, I still make hand gestures at drive-throughs, so it's just like, what's the point?
but
Well, just before the dark web begins, you have EVE Online, and that's just playing spreadsheets in space.
yes,
So,
it is.
Yeah.
But now now there's esports, which are essentially video games being played competitively, League of Legends, CS:GO, StarCraft, etc. And it's left just being in Korea. It's worldwide now, and
Geek life.
and then now they have fantasy esports leagues where you pick
my
players
goodness.
from different games, and depending on how them and their teams do in the games, you get points. Kind of like how it works for fantasy
Kinda
baseball
like
and
a
football
MOBA with real people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you pick, okay, these are my guys from League. This is my CS:GO team.
I think what's fun about through Major League Gaming is that there's porn sites sponsoring teams now, which is hilarious. I think YouPorn just recently announced that they're sponsoring a team.
Not that I would know, but yeah.
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 Something you heard for a friend.
Right.
Yeah, it's from
I was
a friend.
logging on
from
for a friend.
May have been Game Informer, may have been Nerdist. I don't know. Well, speaking of on the topic of about what we're geeky about, let's talk about you guys personally. What do you geek out about? What is something that you would be able to just talk hours upon without probably stopping?
Probably the web design. I mean, I've grew up online. I've been online since I was about 14 or so, and so
With your BBSs.
yeah, the bulletin board systems and Telnet. I mean, so
Telnet. I miss Telnet.
any of that kind of stuff I love. Outdoors, actually, strangely enough, is my yin to my yang. Whereas I'm obsessed with technology on one side, I'm also super love primitive, just going outdoors, living in the woods, camping. Great state for it, So that's one of the other things I'm passionate about. Gold, finding gold is always cool. So Idaho's a prime location for that.
You go out and panning and stuff?
Yep, panning, sluicing, a little bit of high banking.
Swinging an
dredging.
actual pickaxe.
Yeah, actual pickaxing. That's what I do in my free time on the weekends and whatnot. So me and a buddy of mine will go up and spend the weekends in the backcountry, and just something to do other than fish, I guess. It's an excuse to be outside, so have a lot of fun with that.
Let's go Bigfoot hunting.
Haven't seen any Bigfoots, but I've heard some crazy noises up there, backside Idaho City.
I try not to stomp around with my shirt off too much.
Right.
Yeah.
And you?
Oh, look, Bigfoot! Damn it! Andrew!
Yeah, my family calls me Sasquatch. So anyway, Robin Williams had a hairy back, but I have Robin Williams on my back, so that's how hairy I am. Right. So,
Somebody break out the weed wagger.
one of the things that I tell people when we do these is I think that your passion is about what you do when you're not working for the man. So people are a famous line when you're doing networking is you belly up to someone else and you're like, hey, what do you do? It's like, let me talk frankly, I don't give a shit what you do. what do you actually do when you're not doing that? Because what are you doing 9 to 5 that's slowly sucking your soul away? Okay. But then there's, what do you go when you actually go home? What are you doing there?
Mm-hmm.
What do you care about there? There's a lucky few, and I think that maybe I'm one of them, that there's a lot of overlap between those two. So, yeah, I guess I would start with web design because it doesn't seem like a job to me. Once I'm in code, I'm gone, and that's the big one.
I've seen your Facebook page. Whenever you're talking about coding something, it reads like a romance novel. Like it just like you just made love to a CSS script.
He put the hypertext in the footer. He hooked up the JavaScript.
Oh, it's horrible.
So yeah, it starts there, but like I say, I'm probably one of these person that likes to burn the candle at both ends. It's taken Hinsel to get me to have an appreciation outdoors, but I normally am somebody who likes to stay in his cave. I'm an honorary citizen of the Mole Kingdom, so and then from there I run an online gaming community called Dogs of the State. Little metric that we never planned, but most of our members are actually disabled vets, so that's really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so it's, well, what can you do? You probably can't go out, but you're still building this kind of social thing with other people who have the same gaming interests, but then you actually, at the end of the day, you care about them and how they're doing, even when you're not both plugged into your game.
Right.
We've role-played a little bit, and in fact, Mason helped. You played the Outer Rim, Joe,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So I started a gaming co-op for publishing game modules called Amber Dawn Games, named after a friend of mine who, her death helped me light a fire into my ass and go pursue my dreams. And so I turned that into something that for a couple of years at Gen Con I would go and run one-shots of my favorite game system, and then help to the person who wrote the game system to try and make more sales, and then they can also get my module for real cheap, but running that for them. And so the first one I called was a space adventure called the Outer Rim Job, and it was a lot like Leverage. So it was a job. You're 5 mercenaries going and doing a job and getting paid for it, and inevitably how is that going to go sideways and have wacky hijinks ensue. And yeah, so a lot of it is actually gaming. That's my passion. And how do you gamify society and stuff like that? So
Very good.
I could ramble all day.
I learned early on in that adventure that electric panels are not my friend.
Wow, that was enough electric damage to actually kill a character.
The character was very short-lived.
Turns out I am conductive. Who knew? You guys?
Well, got any other projects that's going on?
Well, with Social Geek, we have a little social gathering every Friday. Usually it's a different venue. We're all over the valley, Boise and Nampa. Pizza places, burger places. We always get together last Fridays. That's our big event for Social Geek every month. The best way is just to check our page and find out where we're going to be. We were just at Cobby's having sandwiches this last month, and that went really awesome.
I believe the term is sandwiches.
Sandwich. Yes, I had a large sandwich.
The size of my arm.
The size of my arm. Those are our biggest events. We're always encouraging people to go to our page and share what they're geeky about, because that's our biggest thing. A lot of places online, they're like, oh, we don't want anything on there that's not approved, blah, blah, blah. No, we say, come, share what you want. If it's geeky, then we'll reshare it. All across Twitter, Google+. We have presences on most of the social networks. So we're always...
the dark black alley known as Google+.
Yes, the ghost town.
That's right. You guys share our YouTube videos all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, they say G+ is a ghost town, but actually some of the best quality ghosts you could ever meet I've met there. It's how I made tons of inroads into the role-playing community, and getting to meet my idols is like, yeah, the real geeks are on G+, so, yeah. So you'll be on there tomorrow, right?
I'll have to look deep. Well, I need to look deeper into Google+. Is one of those places that I would like to look deeper into. Like I've noticed that their feed seems to be a lot smoother than Facebook's. It's not just fucking.
One of the things that really
up.
helps is that you're thinking about it differently. I don't know if you've read any of the literature on the monkey sphere. and us all having our own monkey spheres. Have you?
No.
Blink looks.
I haven't. No.
So the monkey sphere concept
This is the
is
only yes.
our memory, which I have the memory of a goldfish, but our memory really allows us to build interpersonal connections with only 250 people. That's as wide as that can really go. And after that, you kind of forget about people, or you may say you do, but you don't really care about them. And so somebody who had people, and I bring this up because people use it. The TED Talk I remember talks about this, but so when 9/11 happened, which was a horrible, polarizing thing, you were more affected by it if someone in your actual monkey sphere was involved in that. But somebody, on the West Coast, maybe not a single member of their monkey sphere was tied into that, then, they're deeply troubled by it, but they don't have the same kind of connection to it.
Right.
That kind of thing. And so circles on G+, and this is how we come back around, it really is that. Rather than suddenly I'm not friends with everybody, I put them. So these people who I have immense respect for and have built professional relationships with, they're in a circle called RPG Big Dogs. That's just what I called it. You'll never see that it's called that, but in my filing system to help, put them in a special bubble in my monkey sphere, that's where they are. I've got and then I have a family member who's in one of my circles. So they see that connective tissue. We're connected, but I actually have that whole circle muted, and he's the only one in there. So you can really wrangle how that works.
How you deliver information to people.
And receive the
And
information,
receive it,
too.
yeah.
So like when, I don't know if you guys remember when I was helping with get Tabletop Forge up off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And Tabletop Forge was an online role-playing platform that plugged into Google Hangouts to where you could just log in and start role-playing with people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Tabletop Forge, we had competition at the same time called Roll20, and you may have heard of that. And then some things happened, and to help us out of a crisis, Roll20 decided to buy Tabletop Forge. And that was really cool. And when the whole thing about that, people were following me because I was doing all the marketing, and I helped do the website and all of that. I was maybe the last quarter of Tabletop Forge. And everyone who was adding me, I added in a customers circle because they wanted to feel that we were building this relationship. And that way, they see, oh, he's actually somebody who's accessible, who gives a damn. Like seeing that my idols in the RPG industry were accessible and would actually talk with me.
Yeah.
That's why I stuck with the platform. So,
Nice.
yeah.
I dig
Sorry
it.
if I rambled.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
I just that you're talking about stuff that it's hard for people to well, for me anyway, it's hard for me to disconnect from one platform to the other. That's why we kind of keep our in fact, if I had read somewhere too, like in a it was either in a social media marketing book of some sort, like if you just keep your fingers in just like 2 or 3 social media platforms and stick to those, you'll find the people that
Play to your core competency.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure.
So Facebook and YouTube and Twitter to an extent. Like I just don't. Twitter's too short for me. Like I don't like. I want to deliver a shit ton of information to people, but you can't do it in 140 characters without.
I'm only on Twitter once or twice a year, and I think that Twitter is good for disseminating what's going on at a Ground Zero event. That's when we were at Hackfort.
Following a hashtag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we were at Hackfort, they're like, here's the thing to use, and then you get to see it go up and down and trend, and so then you become connected to the guy who's 5 feet away from you, but you're not actually going to talk to. And so yeah, you'll see I don't use Twitter, and then I do a whole ton, like for a weekend, and then I don't anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of that was kind of my thing. But you can follow hashtags on Facebook too now, so it's not quite the same thing, but
Yeah, and they're not Twitter hashtags, and even G+ hashtags. So
the one pluses or the how does that work?
They're straight up hashtags.
Straight up hashtags.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, that's how often I use G+.
They even try to auto hashtag, so I get so many bunny or rabbit hashtags on my Dusk Bunny stuff that I'm like,
Preach
no,
it, brother.
we're not.
like, no, that doesn't work. That's an actual rabbit. That doesn't work. Well, awesome. I'm just trying to think of. You guys got any follow up?
I would say the next thing would be, to me at least, would be let's talk about dusk bunnies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Okay. Yeah. So Dusk Bunnies is one night. Creative muse or hair up my nose or something. It's like, wow, it would be really cool. Kind of a play on words, Dust Bunnies to Dusk Bunnies. But then I pictured a team up of like 8 kick-ass ladies and then it's got to be cyberpunk themed. So my imagination is, and this is the description on Facebook too, just running across rooftops, dodging robots and sticking it to the man. That's just a cool story framework. It was never going to be what it's turning into. And so I was going to illustrate kind of pinup style these 8 kick-ass ladies that are not only in pinup poses, but not horribly nude, actually respectful, wearing cool cyberpunk gear and VR helmets and have their decks on the ground next to them.
Like a future Charlie's Angels.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. And so the bunnies comes from that whole, sexy badass women kind of thing. So I was drawing them, and I got done with 1.5, and I'm like, this is hard. I'm not good at drawing people. I would be better at it if I did it more. And so I let it rest for a year. And then I saw the game Risk of Rain, which I bought 2 nights ago, actually, because there's a Steam sale right now. And I saw it, and there was a character select screen. And that's all it took to go, there's 8 of them, character select screen. Yeah, that'd be cool if that were a game. Well, that's not going to happen, but it would be really cool. I couldn't draw illustrations of them, but I could do pixel art of each of them. Mm-hmm. So then I did all 8 Dusk Bunnies in pixel style, and people were like, yeah, this is really cool. And then it started to snowball, especially on G+. You should make a game out of this. I'm like, yeah. And so a little background that I don't share with a lot of people, my bachelor's degree is actually in video game art and design. And so a friend of mine, he took the first girl that I did and sliced her up and made a spreadsheet out of her. Really poorly done, but he did everything that he could. And he made this little prototype of at least she was moving back and forth and jumping and dodging the bullets, just steady stream of bullets from a drone that would move up and down. And I'm like, well, that's something. And that's Unity, using the Unity web engine. I said, could you do this? Because I was with several projects right out of college that would get 50, 75% done, and then a real life event would happen. Oh, I'm getting married. Oh, I got a job at EA. Oh, this is happening. And then that person has to flake out on you, even if they're your best friend. So I'm like, hey, could you stick with this? Can we really? Because I don't want to do another project where we get 25% done and we're like, screw it. He says, if you work with me and we do it smartly, I'll follow you all the way to the end. He's like, I'll code this stuff on my deathbed. I don't care. I'm like, cool. So I dusted off some game design books, and one of the best things to think about when you're going to come up with any new product, it doesn't need to be a video game, is minimum viable product. And that's, how can I make the smallest, most basic version of this? And so in that way, kind of like in an official Scrum, we sprinted to trying to get the minimum viable product done. And so there's a lot of great articles if you care about game design or any kind of design about minimum viable product, but it's like if you distill Mario down to its minimum viable product, you just need to have a guy on the screen that can run right. That's its most basic version. And from that, you see there's this genre of games called free runners. They're big on mobile. That's like a fork of that minimum viable product idea. And so we're like, yeah, we have this really big dream of what Dusk Bunnies could be, but what does she need to do to see if it's any fun? Because that's the other thing. We could have all of those features and lump them on there and spend years and then get to the end and go, wow, this game is actually crap. This isn't fun. If only... So if we couldn't make our minimum viable product fun, what the heck are we doing? And so right now we're... well, my buddy Ezekiel is on vacation, but he's coming back, killing the 6 or 7 bugs we have left, and then our minimum viable product will be done. And I think I let you play it, didn't I? What'd you think about it?
Yeah, it's actually looking pretty cool. I can definitely see where there's the bugs and room for improvement, but I mean it's definitely looking nice. And
we wanted to give ourselves an out with a minimum viable product. That is to say, it's been about 2.5 months since we started. If at that time it is total crap, then we'll walk away and no hard feelings. Or we'll salvage it if it only is like, wow, if we just add that one thing, then it would be totally fine. But actually, lovingly, the people that I've presented it to are like, yeah, you got a couple bugs. And the people who are really trying to help, they'll tell you all the bugs. But since I'm art and I work I don't work the same hours that Ezekiel does in programming the thing. So I'm constantly playing it. And it's like, we're at a point now where thank you for telling me the bug you found, but I probably know about it. In the future, when we're in closed alpha, we'll want people to help us with bug testing for sure. But everyone has lovingly said, yeah, it's got a few bugs, but I can see the potential. I'm like, yes, that's all I care. If you can see how we could make this better and spin off into the other thing, and like right now we have a gal in the game, she's not even one of the actual Dusk Bunnies. She's a crash test dummy character that she's going to have all the moves and the weapons that all the other characters will have, because we just need to test it and not get slowed down with adding all those other things. So,
Right.
So we're about to go into closed alpha. That'll be any day now. We're going to redo the website some and have some tiered giving systems on there like you would in a Kickstarter, but not a Kickstarter. And yeah, and then we'll let people play it.
You can already run around and kill robots, so that was the
Right.
big thing for me.
Yeah. And there's an actual rooftop, and you can run around it. And if you know what you're doing, you can fire a gun.
So I have seen it like you said, it's kind of it's a pixelated style game. But
Right.
what's the format? Is this like a side-scrolling?
Definitely a side-scroller. I did something different with the art, too, and that's since we're going to have 8 characters, I wanted to chop them up and actually use a bones system that you would normally do if you are doing 3D. And, yeah, I wanted it to be a side-scroller, adventure, platformer. And if you go to our website, duskbunnies.net, and look at our About page, the sidebar is our inspirations. And so we talk about our movie inspirations, the other games that inspired us, the music we listened to while we're making it. And, yeah, we wanted it to pay homage to some of our, I would say, Super Nintendo games, because people confuse what is 8-bit and what's 16-bit, but yeah. And so a little bit of Shadowrun. I don't know if you've played Gunpoint. That's a huge influence for us. You're a detective with a trench coat. You run and you jump on walls and smash through windows.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Or Clay did Mark of the Ninja. That's our probably second biggest inspiration. So
Okay,
yeah,
got it. Or something like maybe like Ninja Gaiden or
yeah. The old
And
RoboCop
Shinobi.
arcade game in some ways, actually.
oh Christ.
Yeah. So yeah, we're willing to go back in time too and look at those. So in fact, I have a post on the page of just all. I was on YouTube for hours just collecting intros to old retro games. That the way that they present the intro before you've put a quarter in was supposed to grab your attention and make you care. And
Right.
so I share like 30 different YouTube videos of those retro games on our Dusk Bunny site of stuff that we're looking at for inspiration. So
Very cool.
yeah.
That'd be cool to like. It'd be cool if you got to a point where you could actually homebrew a SNES cartridge
With a
out of
MAME
it.
cabinet, or yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Like actually build a because I know people are creating their own homebrew cartridges, whether it be from an old Super Nintendo cartridge or they're actually molding their own, which that'd be interesting to see like that.
The closest we're going to get to that is Japan, Nintendo just said that they're going to allow Unity development on the new 3DS that's about to come out.
Oh yeah,
And again, there's your button spread, not more complex than a Super Nintendo controller. And you could actually play Dusk Bunnies on the DS at some point. So
that's cool. That's way cool. They just what was it? They actually did they actually just released a bunch of games on 3DS that were like ones that you'd probably thought you'd never see on there, but they're doing them like in 3D, like even though they're 8-bit.
huh.
Or 16-bit. I can't remember what they are though, but I'm drawing a blank. I saw the report on it. I thought it was kind of nifty.
A bunch of the old school like Nintendo and SNES games.
Yeah, but I think I felt like it reached further. Like they were arcade games.
Oh, okay.
Like they were MAME arcade cabinet style games. But yeah, I thought that'd be interesting to see it delved out into a depth.
Yeah.
It's something that's always been traditionally 2D.
Altered Beast, some of those old games.
That was an awesome game.
Yeah.
Golden Axe. Nobody
Yeah,
remembers
Golden
the
Axe.
old Willow game for the
Oh
arcade.
yeah,
yeah.
arcade.
Yeah.
I played the NES.
The
Willow.
they made a port from the arcade for the Genesis. Yeah. Yeah. There's a part where you got to ride on the sled and collect these gold coins. As you're, yeah.
I ended up being a Sega kid, which was because you could only afford one system as a kid. You know, you had your choice. You either get Super Nintendo or you go Sega Genesis.
Sega or Nintendo.
And they sold me Sega can, what Nintendo don't, and I was like, bring it on. And that's when I went with the old Mega Drive. Lots of good games. Bad Dudes, that was fun. Actually, I think that was NES. Two Crude Dudes, I think, was on.
I've been doing some music for Dusk Bunnies and looking at Streets of Rage as one of our main soundtrack wise. Yeah, Streets of Rage is where it's at.
I think that was actually the game. Now that you brought up Streets of Rage, it's Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah,
they're making it
Electric
so that
Boogaloo.
it was Streets of Rage 2, and they're making it 4-player and bringing it to the 3DS.
Okay.
Which I think pretty sure that's what it was. Streets of Rage 2. God damn, I love that game. I love a good beat 'em up. Double Dragon.
Right?
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles. I want to go play one now.
Well, you have an Ninja Turtles cabinet in your garage.
I know. It's been sitting there collecting dust recently. I need to get it in the house.
Yeah, you do.
And the door's big enough, though.
We can fix that.
I know.
I don't really know if Jen would be happy with us fixing that.
Well, she doesn't care that it's in the house.
I meant taking a sledgehammer to the door frame to get it through.
Let's just make this wall smaller.
We need double doors in the garage. Why not? Can't afford that? Well, then we're just going to have a hole there for a while. Can't do that because our fridge just is basically dying on us now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It sucks because it's like basically a new fridge.
Yeah, so you didn't get that fridge that long ago.
No, it's a 2008 Samsung fridge. It's like their first foray into the market.
This is the one that tells you when you're out of milk and likes your posts on Facebook for you.
Not quite like that,
Okay.
no. But it's a nice one. I mean, it looks very Samsung-y, kind of very streamlined type looking fridge. But the evaporator keeps freezing on the fridge and building ice around the fan. The fan will stop. Most recently, it cracked the panel that sits in front as well. Now there's a little crack in the actual casing of the fridge.
Alrighty.
So that's fun. Bringing my personal problems to the podcast. No. So now we're basically on the lookout for a new fridge.
Problems podcast.
Yeah. We're hoping it'll live. We're hoping it'll live out until at least August, September, because
Until it gets really cold again. Till winter. Or you don't need
when
it.
winter is coming.
Right.
Yeah.
No, she's just breathing hard.
Yeah, that clacking is just the lungs. You just need one lung. I mean, the freezer works.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, what do you want to know?
I don't know.
Do you guys plan on doing any sort of? I mean, you guys have your monthly gatherings, but do you have any plans to be at any other events in the coming future? Like, I know we see you guys at cons on occasion, and pretty much anything local, you're there. I remember my Anime Oasis is coming up. I imagine you guys will be there.
Yeah.
That's where we first actually ran into each other. Was crossing the street. Hey.
Yep.
What the hell were we doing that day? Because we weren't there for Anime Oasis.
I remember we were at Five Guys eating
Some
food,
kind of event up in the Grove Hotel,
yeah,
I think.
something going on there. We're going to try to make it to any of the cons we can. We love anything local. So
Yeah, the more local the better for sure.
Supporting local is really the main reason we started the group anyway. And so Anime Oasis, we had a blast at Tomodachi Fest last year, so that's definitely on the books.
Tomo was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Even though I was
it
sick
was.
the whole time.
Oh, man.
I was really sad I couldn't stay any longer than the podcast. Like, I really wanted to go because that was where we did our Mega Ran podcast, and I really wanted to stick around for that concert. I wanted to.
It was awesome.
Damn it!
I got a shirt. It was purple. It was awesome.
That's your favorite color, right?
Yeah, that's my thing.
Any particular purpose? Just you like it, or
No, so yeah, I used to be ultra goth, and then one day I found this awesome purple shirt that was for sale at Savers or something, like pristine, looked like it had never been worn, but I checked the tag and it was from the 70s. I'm like, I can do purple. I could wear this real good. And, and then that's how it grew. And so then business-wise, what had happened is I'm not a Mac lover by any means. I'm sorry if I've offended anyone, but I did.
It's okay to offend those people.
It is.
I did appreciate the discipline that Steve Jobs had, and he had a uniform. He had his black turtleneck and his jeans. He wore that every day. That defined him. And in business, I preach that I want my clients to be consistent. Even if they're consistently bad, if they're consistent and their competition is inconsistent with their marketing, branding, even their blog schedule, you have a leg up just by being consistent. And so my thing was, unless you see me in the yard doing yard work, if I am dressed, I'm wearing purple. It's something. So yeah.
It is the color of royalty.
It's not a purple turtleneck, so I have multiple purple shirts where he had just had like 50 of the same shirt, but yeah.
I had a question on top of my head and I lost it.
Do you suck?
I know. Horrible host. So just not professional by any means.
Well, when's this one's gonna air in 2 weeks, right? When we're recording.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
So this will be
8
the
weeks.
last show before St. Baldrick's.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we look forward to helping support and promote that for sure. It's a good cause.
And I'm working with Adrienne. You're doing a raffle for her, right?
yeah, she was nice enough to donate a sweet custom cover Batgirl New 52 for us.
So because I couldn't draw, and you've seen the 8 or 16-bit version of the Dusk Bunnies, the actual illustrations of the bunnies are done by her.
Oh, nice.
So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I'm trying to partner with other local artists and creatives to, that whole rising tide lifts all ships. So yeah, her awesome artwork is tied to it. I met another guy who might be helping me with the music. So yeah, whatever we can do.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was the question I was missing. What kind of businesses have you? I mean, I guess I don't know if you can name names, but I know you guys have done work with like Miss Courageous. And
Yeah, in fact, the purple pin on top of you can't see it. The purple pin on top of my hat. That's
Is one
actually
of
a
hers,
tack tie is one of hers.
Nice.
So,
I mean, are there any other businesses you want to promote that you've helped out that are really passionate about, or?
We love a lot of them. One of the ones I like is Rusty Retro throughout in Nampa.
Oh god, those guys are amazing.
They have just so much awesome, just crazy old vintage and just weird stuff.
A lot of steampunk gear. This guy makes custom guns. And
Tons
stuff.
of steampunk, little ray guns and all kind of stuff. So we love them. Miss Courageous, I think she's actually started or got a new space, like a pop-up studio or
Yeah.
something. She has a lot bigger space now, so that's cool. That was one of the biggest things that's been so rewarding with the group is, beyond, pizza and beer with people you can nerd out with is just finding out about all the little businesses here in our area that we didn't know about before, people that are passionate and doing cool creative stuff, artists. Danielle Demaray out in Emmett, she's an amazing artist. Met her through the Social Geek group. And that's been, I guess, we talk about the group to people and say, hey, we have these monthly events. We love supporting and promoting small business. We tell them, come to our page and post your stuff so people can find out about it. And then they're like, okay, well, how much does it cost?
how does it make money?
And we tell them, well, it doesn't cost anything. We do this because we love supporting local, and it's what we're about. And then, of course, they're like, well, how does that make you any money? Is the next question. And we're like, well, it doesn't, but we don't care because
we like you.
we've got a team of nerds that run our social presence, and they sort of help make easy work of supporting local business. And that's been one of the biggest rewarding things is just, scratching the surface here in the valley and just seeing all this amazing creative stuff going on. So
I think it's one of the hardest things from a business standpoint, and I've been more and more frank with people that we work with, especially when it's like the verbiage that should go on their site. Part of that is you have to make me give a crap about you. Just let that sink in. You're trying to sell me something, I don't care. I don't know you, I don't like you. Make that connection of we need to know you, then we need to like you, and then ultimately we need to trust you. And so one of the ways that we do that is you have the thing you're geeky about. You're going to do the St. Baldrick stuff. Share it with us. We'll amplify that to our 3,000 plus followers. There's no cost because we're crazy and we love geeks. Especially if you're someone who, I have a lot more... people are forced into different situations, but if you've chosen to shill somebody else's product, that's cool, especially if you're passionate about it and you're not just doing it for a job. But if you're actually making a thing and then selling it, your blood, sweat, and tears are going into it, jewelry, selling the churning the dough, making the muffins, whatever it is. That's the stuff that we really get behind, because I think that I had this gal, she came up to me when we were first starting. She's like, yeah, I'm really geeky. I'm like, cool. She's like, yeah, I'm geeky about quilts. I'm like, and she expected me to judge her. I'm like, no, I joke, I wasn't geeky about canned peas until I saw the How It's Made episode about canned peas. Geeks really appreciate the facts and the process and the direction. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm geeky about quilts. I'm like, cool, you must make some really cool quilts. Like, your grandma taught you the Dutch way to make quilts or something. She's like, no, I just read blogs about quilts. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I do this heavy research phase before I jump into anything. But, it's one thing to be geeky about it, but then to actually apply it and then share that with others, it's like, hey, I did a thing. Let's celebrate that. And we want to celebrate that. But we can't if you don't share it with us. So
yeah, I was in 100,000 years. It's funny because you brought up peas and it clicked in my brain. Back in high school, my art teacher was somebody who knew a lot of people. She liked to network with people, and she knew a lot of people in commercial art and traditional art and stuff like that. And one of the guys that she brought into our class to do a presentation was the guy who did all the artwork for the Del Monte cans. Nice. But that wasn't necessarily his passion. That's just what paid his check, was the Del Monte work. And but he has these totally just intricate, kind of almost two-dimensional like paintings of like trains and a bunch of really cool stuff that he just does as an off time for fun, and just really cool stuff. But it's like every time I saw a Del Monte can after that, I was immediately connected to that guy. Like, I can't separate myself from that experience all of a sudden. It was a really cool talk with that guy.
Yeah.
But
I would say even doing the Del Monte cans, but having a passion for doing painting hyper realistic paints of trains. At least he's still for a lot of people still count him as lucky, because he still gets to do art for a living. So when that's what he loves to do. So, but I understand it wouldn't be as cool as or as fulfilling, I guess you could say, as when he's done with one of his personal project paintings.
Yeah, the rough and I'm sure as well you guys know, having your vision and somebody else's vision can cause people to butt heads really hard sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So
how does that work out?
No, I usually shove my
the
vision
client
down there.
and the customer want different things. What?
No, well, I mean, the idea behind somebody will come up to you and say, we were talking about logos the other day. Somebody will say, I want this for a logo. You come to them with an idea, or maybe even 4 or 5, but that may not be exactly anything that they had envisioned in their head. But then because artists are very passionate about what they do.
Well, I've had to get. I'm somebody who actually, I'm good at what I do, but I don't have a lot of self-confidence in it. In honesty, it's because I'm always afraid of being overconfident, of being like the arrogant guy that just walks in and he's got a ton of charisma, but he couldn't actually, do anything to feed himself other than look good. I want to have the skill that's marketable, and I want people to appreciate that. And so we get to the point where my vision, hopefully you're coming to me because I'm the expert. Hopefully, if I'm going to make you the logo, I'm not just going to crap out a thing and say, here, and this is your new logo.
Oh, that would be me when I had One Up Your Life. I went to one of those fucking $100 sites, like $100 flat fee. Well, just
like a Fiverr.
As many.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't Fiverr. I think it was just just some random logo head, but it's like some Indian company that just drops a bunch of clip art on top of each other and says, "Here's your logo."
Yeah. And so that's why we went from because I was freelancing before I met Hinsel. I had Andrew Chasen design, and that doesn't actually do web design anymore. Now, for RPG illustration and tokens and things like that, I have another guy who's he is making a self-help book and he wants an illustrated cover for it. That's what that is now. So it's like, well, we need something that can do the web portion we have kind of like a Venn diagram of the best skills where Hinsel and I both have our own strengths, but we overlap. So to be in business with him is to be able to hopefully play to our core competencies and help people with our experience.
So you guys say you complement each other really well, like, as far as like what would be your strengths versus like what complement? How do you guys complement each other?
I would say that I know a lot of the social media stuff, but I don't care for it as much as Hinsel.
You are a food posting human being.
It's funny. Somebody the other day was like, "Why don't you have a food blog?" And I was just like,
like, why don't I have a
why
food?
don't I have 70% of my pictures are food? But yeah, like the social media and search engine optimization, I've been working in that field for over 10 years, so I'm real familiar with that. I think we have good overlap because Andrew does a lot of web development. I do a lot of web development, and so we both have that sort of similar in common, even though we have different approaches and methodology to doing development and design in web. So that works good. He's amazing with the graphics and illustration, the stuff that is actually the meat that goes into making your website not look bad.
The GUI.
Yeah, the GUI stuff. So he's awesome with that.
So he's the icing, you're the cake.
Something like that.
Oh, you bet.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Look at him.
I love it.
I'll eat him up.
All right. Well, we're wrapping up on about an hour. I guess you guys have
This is your
final...
50th episode.
This is 50th.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, 50th core episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the numbering system actually
This
got a
is
little
your first
weird.
episode with the number 50 on it.
It is that.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
Because like a couple of the episodes of the initiative are technically are numbered episodes, and then that's split off, and news episodes. And
We were trying to find ourselves.
there you go.
Getting pods in. Tried to figure out how to. We were just trying to figure out how to make it viable without annoying anybody, because people like to take information in chunks. If you make it too long, you'll lose them. If you make it too short, they don't care. Right. So, like from what I've read about podcasting, anywhere between a half hour to an hour is like, and anything beyond like an hour and a half, you have the risk to lose the possibility.
Yeah, we
of
had
people.
like hour and a half, 2 hour shows all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, we had to split it up.
Now, I wouldn't mind that if the conversation was good and the host and the guest had that synergy.
It obviously depends on the content, but I mean, when you're on your second hour and you're just on ums and ahs, it doesn't quite pan out after a while. So we decided to take our initial concept for the podcast was we would do like a news show for the first half, intermission, and then talk about a topic for another hour. And then we decided that wasn't probably the best way to go about it later. Separate the news show from the core show, and then
What are you going to do different for the next 50 episodes?
Besides
More monkey tits. No.
Besides the podcast itself, I want to do more video. Like, I am on the hunt for one of these fucking Zoom Q8s. I don't know if you see me post about it, but Zoom put out this Q8 camcorder that is fucking sexy, and it's got it's small. It's only about yay big. It records in like 2K, basically 2K resolution versus 4. So half that, whatever that is.
2160.
That's 2.3K, I think, is what it boiled down to. Well, it has 2 microphone inputs on the back of it built in, which for a camera that size is like unheard of. So you get 2 XLR type cables or line level cables that you can plug directly into the camera itself, which
So
is
you can
all.
have stereo audio. Is that the point of it?
It has 4-channel audio.
Oh, okay.
Which is fucking crazy.
Nice.
It comes immediately with an XY microphone built into the top of it. So even that you're going to get decent sound out of. It records in 160-degree widescreen if you want it to.
Good lord.
So you can get like a full room view of whatever you're recording. It'll do... and the beauty about those microphone inputs is that you don't necessarily have to use a microphone directly. If you wanted to do an output from your board into the camera to get more mics into it, you can. So just run an output from your board into the camera, and then bam, you got however many things you want to hook up to that camera, making it you could have a 4-person video podcast even, or maybe we could even do live versions of our, because it'll act as a webcam too, so you can set it up at the end of the table, broadcast it down on the table. It's a widescreen view. You could set it
That'd
at
be
the
good,
end.
yeah.
We could do live recordings of the initiative, that kind of thing. It's just ideas that I've been pondering. Like, as soon as I saw that camera, I was like, that will open so many fucking doors. Like, because I've been trying to. There's like Canon camcorders out there that are like $1,600 that'll do something similar, but you still need extra attachments to get microphones to go into it, and it's just a giant headache.
I try not to go into analytics mode, but that's what we do, and so it's like, well, where'd you come from? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be in the next 5 years? And so, yeah.
Definitely want to be more involved in the community aspect of it too. I think that's something that we kind of we really enjoy doing, getting involved at the cons and doing the St. Baldrick's thing. That's just love doing
bless
it.
your heart.
Yeah, stuff like that, especially with the local community. I haven't really panned out anything on pen and paper, but it's mostly been kind of as it comes. So, but and whoever's willing to invite us to their gigs. I want to go to one of your guys' Friday night things, but you guys they're always on a day where I'm like,
send an envoy at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're always welcome. We discussed.
We're actually, Mason are usually on our game night.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I know our buddy McManigan.
Yeah.
Luke McManaman.
We
Yeah.
just
Luke
he was at the last one
McManaman.
enjoying sandwiches. We played Resistance. I don't know if you've played that.
Very
A PS3
fun
game? Or
No, the table party game.
Yeah.
do not know that game. I know Resistance for PS3.
Not everything revolves around PlayStation, Justin.
Up. But yeah, that's just some of the ideas I hope to have in the future. Maybe by episode 100, maybe our podcast does become a viable platform for us to maybe do something more, do more entertainment-based stuff versus just. That's why I called this the Dirt Effect podcast, because I always had more ideas of creating a more Nerd Effect entertainment type of website, something that does more than just podcasts. Like if you ever see like websites like Screw Attack or that guy with the glasses, stuff like that. Like I watched Screw Attack from 2005 to now, and they are nothing like they were 6 or 7 years ago, but they still maintain that community aspect, which is they were acquired by Full Screen Entertainment, and Full Screen said, we like what you guys are doing, just keep doing it, and that has helped them turn it into like a platform for them. I'm not saying I hope to be up to that point. In fact, I don't know if I ever will be or really care to ever be to that point, but if it would be to a point where it could turn into something that could help support us, or even just support the podcast, let it run itself, make enough money to actually get new equipment, make enough money to, maybe we can rent out an office once someday and use that as an actual studio, that kind of thing. I would hope that maybe we can get. So if you want to sponsor the Nerd Effect podcast, get a hold of
Sponsored by Social
We
Geek.
just may.
Yeah, feedback at nerdeffect.com.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I hope to be someday. And more than 300 likes on our page. That would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to boast about this right now. I don't know if you guys who know Nathan Barnett is, but that motherfucker is the single-handedly one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life, and he liked our page today.
Nice.
And he, I first heard about him. He has this character that he does. He's an improv guy, and he has a character called Keith Apicary. Neo Geo. I don't know if you ever.
You'd have to be there.
Yeah, he's a big retro gamer too. If you ever meet him, he's made enough money in the past just doing what he does that he has his own arcade now in his basement that he's just built over time. It's fucking awesome. But and he does stuff for Adult Swim now. Like he does pilots and does a bunch of writing for them, and he's trying to get on WWE's Tough Enough right now. He's got like Dolph Ziggler and a bunch of celebrities. Like when you see the video, you're like, how the hell does he know all these people? Like legit celebrities and just endorsing him. He's training at Rikishi's wrestling gym. It's nuts just seeing this guy, how he's evolved over time. And he actually went and liked our page today. And had a short conversation with him. Cool. It was cool. Anyway.
So he has ass kicked on the wrestling show.
Oh, and I think that's what he's hoping for.
Well, yeah.
To him, To him, it's all about the attention. Like, he loves that kind of attention. So
Rumors of my death were greatly exaggerated.
No such thing as bad press on the internet.
No. Bring on the trolls. Brings more audience. Luckily, we haven't had any real trolls on the show yet.
Do you need any?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, we can dig a few up if that's what you...
probably.
But I thought that was my official position.
No, you're the monkey tit expert. You know that's going to go to your grave, right? That's just...
It's become
It's
a
on
thing.
my headstone.
we'll deliver your eulogy. He was a great admirer of the primate mammary glands. So yeah, that's our 50th show. Everybody.
Well,
Had to end it on monkey tit.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. Like, if there's anything we can do to help you guys out, I mean, we like you guys. You guys
I
were.
can see the synergy continuing.
You guys were.
We should put our heads together.
Well, when you got a show called Nerd Effect and a group called Geek, Social Geek, like
Yeah.
Geek and Nerd, I mean, they complement each other rather well.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right. Well, for Nerd Effect podcast, we have been.
Malcolm Morgan.
Mason, Ireland.
Hinsel Scott.
Andrew Chasen.
And I am Dustin Vancouver. Guys, 50 episodes in.
Thank you for sticking around or at some point finding us.
Yes. On to the next 50. And maybe some of those future ideas we had before.
Yes.
And shall we end this the proper way?
Yeah.
For those about to nerd,
We
we salute you.